Hi guys, welcome once again to the Coffee and Heroes YouTube show, your weekly roundup of comics, TV, movies, everything happening in the store and anything else that takes my fancy. So, as ever, starting off with the store this week, what an awesome week for the store. Honestly, it was a really busy week all week. Loads of people in every day, big graphic novel sales. We had tons of back issues flying out, which we've been replenishing and putting more and more new stock into. Packs selling, all the rest. But it would be remiss of me not to mention that a lot of it was down to Three Jokers. Make sure you've got your coffee for this. Three Jokers, honestly, what can we really say? It has been absolutely massive. It's a testament to the quality of the title. It's a testament to how it's been marketed. And I've never seen a title in our over 3-year history now that has sold the way this has in terms of variant covers, in terms of 1 to 25 variant covers, 1 to 100 variant covers. I should say on the 1 to 25s, we managed to secure a few extras of those. So we've got those listed on the website, just in case you're interested in those. But yeah, it just seems to have captured the imagination. And I think a lot of that is down to the story and the art. Geoff Johns' script is on point. The art is the star of the show for me. But people have even been looking into the back issues for that, in terms of looking at Justice League Darkseid War, in terms of the Rebirth one-shot that first floated the idea of Three Jokers as well. So big title this week. But also as well, we had, new Venom issues this week. We had Batman one-shots. We had Multiverse one-shots for Death Metal. We had some great indie titles. Department of Truth by James Tynion was massive. We always try to order stuff in for the racks, but we like to be pretty tight with our ordering. We want to make sure that we have as much funds free for the store to stock up in other areas, but we don't like to have loads and loads of issues sitting there. So pull lists are always the best way to guarantee titles. But with Department of Truth, I just had a bit of a feeling this was going to be a big one. And I was proven right. I ordered 15 issues of it on top of 15 that were already ordered for pull lists. And all 15 were gone from the racks by Thursday lunchtime. So within a day, essentially. So do keep an eye out on the preview stuff that we put out and the stuff that we try to recommend, because we do have a pretty decent eye for this thing. We don't get it right every time, but because we always say to follow creators, you can always tell who's going to have like the next big title, that kind of thing. So speaking of previews, we've put the previews podcast up this week, where myself, Keith, and Roddy go into the whole previews book. We have an article on the website detailing all of our picks, with Vicky's in there as well. And then we also have the board written up in store. So have we scope through those, see if anything catches your eye. I mean, December's going to be massive. I should say this is the previews book. So order during October, but the content will start to arrive in December. And this December, honestly, you've got King in Black, you've got Batcat, you've got Tales from the Dark Multiverse, 3 new one-shots. You've got Batman continuing to sell massively. You've tons of great indie stuff as well. So it is going to be a big one. So I do recommend just either popping in or listening to the podcast. And as ever, if you want things added to your pull list, just drop us a message. Or if you want to get one set up, if you're not sure where to start, you want to come in and have a chat with us, that's what we're here for. So never feel intimidated about coming into the store and asking. Everybody has to start somewhere, but the sheer wealth of stuff at the moment means I think personally there's a comic for everyone. So yeah, just a really great week in store. And as I say, the preview stuff is up. So, pop in and have a chat. We opened up our CGC submissions, as I had stated in the show last week. And the response has been incredible. We have had over 50, I think we've had 54 submissions so far. And we've sent the first 50 away. We'll always put it out as batches of 25. As I explained before, it's the easiest way of keeping the cost down, which allows us to pass the cost on to the customer. We're easily the cheapest around when it comes to this kind of stuff. So anything you've got, do come in. The boxes we sent off, each individual issue in the box is wrapped in a brown paper bag. It's then wrapped in bubble wrap. There's packing beans in there. We really went over the top. We ensure the boxes that we send off to make sure that just in case something happens, we'll be able to claim back the money. So the boxes are all insured for like £600-700 each as well. So yeah, I mean, have full faith and confidence in us that we can, pull this off for you guys. And it's just another service for the store, which is always good. Speaking of podcasts, though, I should say as well, keep an eye out for a really special one coming next week. Roddy, myself, and Keith were chatting to a creator, but who? Last week, and it was a really class interview. They said to Keith, "Don't be stupid." They had arguments with me over Rob Liefeld. It's a really fun one to listen to be honest, and I've really enjoyed editing it. So it should be up sometime next week, and it's someone who's related to some of those titles which are due in December. So we may have got a little exclusive on some of the content for that as well. So keep it on the podcast channel, as I say, and we'll have new stuff out there on that next week. So I suppose I should really have a wee flick through the titles I certainly enjoyed the most. This week was massive, as I said before. There was so much good stuff. I've picked 3 out, but I could have easily picked another 7 or 8. You know, the first night that I was reading, I read 6 issues, and all 6 could have been picks of the week. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on 3 different ones that are all DC. Shock horror, I know. So the 3 that stuck out the most I'm going to chat about. So we've got Batman Joker Warzone. Great cover by Ben Oliver. So this one was an anthology story. It had 5 different individual stories in there that focused on different characters in the Bat family and how they basically have dealt with Joker War. But what was great about this was it has stories that are related to Joker War, but it also has a couple of stories in here that it says to be continued in 2021. So if you're thinking of jumping on to Batman quite soon, this would be a great one-shot to kick off with, because it will lay some of the groundwork for what's coming next in 2021. The standout story, well, there was 2 standouts in this for me, and both by Tynion, of course. One was a story with Batman going to, or not Batman. One was a story with Joker going to visit Bane in Arkham Asylum and to basically taunt him. I like this a lot because it was continuing on from the groundwork Tom King laid in his run, where Bane essentially had Batman right where he wanted him, but let it slip through his fingers, and the Joker's sort of like, look, this is how you take over a city. So that was a great one. That was Guillaume March on art. And then the last story, which deals with the character Clown Hunter and goes into their reign of terror throughout Gotham as well, because Clown Hunter has been this great character who has been introduced, who's on Batman's side, but he has no problem killing clowns. So he maybe goes slightly to the left of Batman's ethics code, shall we say, and moral code. But the art on it was by James Stokoe, and I'm just going to flick this open really quick just to show you the art, because Stokoe is a great artist. He did some great work on some Aliens titles, but this is just look at that artwork. You know, it makes Gotham look like a neon-soaked nightmare. Absolutely love this, and every story in it was strong, to be honest. You know, you also had appearances from Cassandra Cain, Batgirl, and Spoiler, and Poison Ivy, and John Ridley's Luke Fox story as well, which I think is going to continue into a mini-series next year. So, as I say, if you're not on Batman at the moment, but you're thinking of getting onto it, read that, and then issue 101 would be your jumping on point as well, so might make it a bit easier for you. Number 2 for me was, once again, DC, as I say. This is a death metal tie called Multiverse's End. This was phenomenal, and once again, the common thread is Tynion. He can do no wrong at the moment. I won't be talking about his indie title in this one, but it may come up in the podcast quite a lot, Department of Truth. But this one is just pure fun. This just embraced the ridiculousness of metal and how over the top it is, how bombastic it is, and it mostly dealt with characters that you wouldn't really care about so much. I mean, you've got Captain Carrot, who was one of the best characters in this. So it's Tynion on writing, Judyson One, Gideon on art. He's been doing some Venom stuff recently as well. You know, there was some great stuff in this with Owlman about how he's ultimately Batman's dark equal, not, you know, the Batman who laughs. The stuff with Captain Crunch was amazing. There was a new Bat character put into it that it would be remiss of me to spoil on you. But let's just say it's, for lack of a better term, it's almost like a mini version of Batman, but I'll leave it at that. But it leads to some great comedy. Honestly, just, this is what comic books are about. It doesn't always have to be deep and dark and, you know, soul search and all that kind of stuff when it comes to the Batman stuff. But this was just pure outlandishness. Really good fun and really funny, I should say, as well. So that for me has been one of the best metal ones so far. I wouldn't say it's essential story-wise. I think they'll recap what happened in here in the main story. But as a one-shot just to sit down and have fun with, absolutely awesome. And then you'll be absolutely not shocked at all to see number 2, pick of the week. This title is just ridiculously good. It is premium, it is adult, it is exploring some ground we've never seen before. The art is off the chain. It's just fantastic. I can't express enough how good this story is. And what's great about it is you can jump into it not having read anything else. You know, if you have even a passing knowledge of Batman, even if it's just from the movies, you'll recognize stuff in this. And what Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok are doing is just genuinely career best work. Issue 2 was every bit as good as issue 1, and they're doing stuff you hadn't seen before, and that's not easy to do in Batman when a character's been around for 80 years. One last thing I'll just show off from this week that I picked up. It's been selling like hotcakes, and I think I'm down to my last one in store. But this might whet the appetite for... This might whet the appetite for King in Black. So we received in the Absolute Carnage omnibuses this week. So this essentially has everything you need to enjoy Absolute Carnage. It has the 5-issue miniseries itself, but then it has everything from, Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool to Lethal Protectors, Miles Morales. You've got Avengers issues, you've got Amazing Spider-Man issues in there. I'll just take the wee dust jacket off here, which is what I always do, by the way, if I'm ever reading an omnibus. Just get those dust jackets off and put them somewhere safe. And go from there, but let me see. There we go. But yeah, just look at the interior art underneath, which is awesome. But yeah, Absolute Carnage, I have to say it's been one of my favorite events from the last 10 years from Marvel. I mean, it's just brilliant and epic and big and dark and scary and it's weird to say, but I almost think like this is going to seem relatively small next to what they've got planned for King in Black. But yeah, if you haven't read any of Absolute Carnage before, this is the way to do it. This has everything, and it has the equivalent of 30 issues in there. And if you go back and try and trace all of those, and some of them were $5 issues, some of them were $6 issues, and although this will be more of an outlay, it's a 90 quid omnibus. It is a way that is very comprehensive. It has everything you'll want, but it also look awesome on the shelf as well, which is always very important. So no doubt you'll see it in the background here next week, because as much as I want to tuck into it straight away, I'm determined to finish Sandman first. So yeah, that was my titles of the week. But as I say, I have to throw out some love for both Department of Truth, Philadelphia #8, and Venom was awesome as well, with some pretty big revelations. So we'll go on to the invoice. So here's what is coming for you next week. I should say first off the bat, because it continues to be one of the most often asked questions. Deceased is not on my invoice. Neither number 4, which is due out next week in the States, I know, or number 3. I can only hope that this is because what they're doing is they're going to send us 3 and 4 at the same time. Because otherwise we could send number 4 and then we don't want to sell that to people because we don't have number 3, and then they're missing out on the story. But then we have to keep it back and find a place for it. And so I'd rather they just didn't send it until they can send us at all. But don't worry, there's a ton of great stuff next week anyway. So just guide you through some of it. So you've got the next part of the Alien original screenplay. So number 3 coming for that. Really dug the first couple issues. You've got Amazing Spider-Man 49. Now this is a big book. This is a huge $10 book. This is a little cheeky at Marvel because they went to a number 1 but also have legacy numberings. So number 49 is issue 850. But then the following month, they've then got Amazing Spider-Man 50, so they can do a deluxe one again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm going to jump back in the Amazing Spider-Man because I stupidly jumped off it. We've got American Vampire 1976 number 1 coming. I'm really looking forward to that. I love American Vampire, and this is going to be a new series from Snyder that I believe is going to finish it off. You've got Batman 100, so again, big issue. That's going to be a big thick one as well. That's going to be the culmination of Joker War, but also I think that's going to start laying some seeds for where it's going to next. What else do we got? We've got Black Widow number 2, really dug the first issue of that. We've got Champions number 1, a new title launching from Marvel. Cyberpunk 2077 number 2. At this rate, Cyberpunk the comic is going to be finished before we ever get the game, because it keeps getting delayed. We had before the White Knight McFarlane figures come in, so you had Batman and the Joker. This week we've got Azrael coming in, so it is an awesome design. Got new Deadpool number 7. We've got new Decorum number 5. We've got the second part of Doctor Who Time Lord Victorious. We have, what else looks good here? I've ordered in some good hardcovers next week, so I've ordered in the Immortal Hulk hardcovers, just in case you prefer those to trade. So I've started ordering a lot of that kind of stuff. We've got new Firepower next week, so number 4, awesome. Justice League 54, part of Metal as well, so look forward to that. We've got Legend of the Swamp Thing Halloween Spectacular, which is going to be a one-shot again. And I was surprised this was coming out so early in October, because usually you'd think it'd be more around Halloween, but I have no problem getting it early. They're going to be continuing with the X of Swords stuff, so you've got Marauders number 13 next week, which is a part of that. We have all of the trades coming in for AWA titles. I've spoke about these before. You know, Hotel, The Resistance, Red Border, Archangel. I'm a big fan of AWA and what they're doing. And their first wave of titles, all of them are coming in next week in trade. And they're all $10 books as well. So they all come in at like that £9 price point. We have Spy Island number 2. Really dug the first one of that. It seems like forever ago we got it. I think it was pre-lockdown. But really looking forward to that. You've got Thor number 8 coming, so we got slightly delayed this side of the world with Thor number 7, but at least that means it hasn't been too long to wait to Thor number 8. We've got Walking Dead Deluxe kicks off next week, so this is The Walking Dead in colour from the start, and that's going to be a fortnightly release. So with that one, it's a case of number 1, 2 weeks later, number 2, 2 weeks later, number 3. It will take 8 years to collect it all, but I think it's a really good way for new readers to The Walking Dead to get into it and not be worried so much about seeing those big omnibuses and going, it's so much reading, you know. We've got We Only Find Them When They're Dead, number 2. That was a big seller for us, the first one of that as well, so looking forward to getting that in. As I was saying before with the X of Swords stuff, so you've also got Wolverine next week, and you've also got X-Force as well. So those are very important when it comes to enjoying the X of Swords stuff. So yeah, still plenty of great stuff there. I do wish Deceased was coming, but again, we've no control over it. I ask them every week, I chase it every week, and they're just not playing ball. So, diamond. So yeah, so that's what to look forward to next week. So just thought I'd jump in and chat about a few different stories that caught my eye this week that I thought were worth chatting about. So, been a little bit of, it's been quiet on the Marvel movie news for a while. Obviously, they've been announcing more stuff for the TV shows, and they can't be filming at the moment, that kind of thing. So they've been a little bit quieter recently, but a couple of bits and pieces came out this week. So Benedict Cumberbatch revealed that not only are they really deep into pre-production on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but they're due to start shooting in the next couple of weeks. I have to say I'm really excited for this for no other reason than Sam Raimi is coming back to direct. I personally still think the best Spider-Man movies are the first 2 with Tobey Maguire. 1 was a brilliant origin story. 2 was probably the best Spider-Man movie of them all. And the fact that he's been brought back in now to the MCU fold to do something. And apparently this is going to be the first horror film in the MCU as well. So there's so many good ways that could tackle that. Jimmy Fox came out this week and he confirmed that he's going to be in the 3rd installment of Spider-Man. Which is a bit weird because obviously he was in the Amazing Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield stories. This to me says they're going down the multiverse path, similar to obviously what they're doing with Doctor Strange. You know, you've already got J. Jonah Jameson popped in the last Spider-Man movie and he was in the Raimi stuff. And now you're getting someone from the Andrew Garfield stuff. So hopefully at some point what they'll do is they might do like an Into the Spider-Verse type thing, but in live action. So hopefully they bring in Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield and they recreate that meme. Which is really cool. I'll superimpose it over the top of this so I don't look so stupid. Or maybe it's too late for that, I don't know. But yeah, bringing Jimmy Fox back is interesting because I have to say, I think out of all the Spider-Man movies, that's the weakest one. Spider-Man 3 has its problems, but there's also some good stuff in it. But I think that Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not particularly great, but just my opinion, as ever. But on the Marvel TV news, they did announce who will be playing Miss Marvel. So it is an actress called Iman Vellani, and this is going to be for a Disney Plus series based on Miss Marvel. I really hope this is based very highly on the G. Willow Wilson run, because it was fantastic, so it was. So for anybody who doesn't know, Miss Marvel is a Pakistani-American teen based in New Jersey, and she basically has the ability to like stretch off in every direction, and you know, she's very strong, and she has to hide all this from her parents. It's good in a teen way, the way you would get with like a younger Spider-Man one. You've got all the teenage problems of fitting in with your family and all that kind of stuff, but then you have that sense of responsibility to help people, so you do. So yeah, Kamala Khan, I'll really look forward to that. And that means in the last few weeks we've had Miss Marvel casting announcements, you've had She-Hulk casting announcements, and also the announcement that Nick Fury was getting his own TV show as well through Disney Plus. So tons of great stuff to look forward to there. But another cool Disney Plus thing that's coming up, they may actually tempt me into Disney Plus at this point, I have to say, but there's going to be an 8-episode original documentary anthology series called Marvel 616. So they've got a different filmmaker to helm every episode. So each episode, helmed by a unique filmmaker, explores a different topic about the intersections of storytelling, pop culture, and fandom within the Marvel universe. So topics range from Marvel's forgotten characters to trailblazing female characters to renowned artists. So what they've got here, they've announced the titles and the directors. So you've got Japanese Spider-Man, directed by David Gelb. Higher, Further, Faster, directed by Gillian Jacobs. Amazing Artisans, directed by Clay Jeter. You've got Lost and Found, directed by Paul Scheer. We've also got Suit Up by Andrew Rossi. You've got Unboxed, directed by Sarah Ramos. The Marvel Method, directed by Brian Oakes. And then you've also got Marvel Spotlight, which is actually directed by actress Alison Brie. So some really good stuff there. Check out the trailer if you haven't seen it. But this is, again, it's doing what it says in the tin. It's exploring some maybe lesser known parts of the Marvel universe. And I think that would be really, really cool. One that did surprise me, I have to say, but I'm really quite excited for, is Netflix announced that they have begun development of a live action series based on Conan. Now, Conan is currently at Marvel Comics, and I've spoke about it before, but it's worth saying again, that Conan run at the moment by Jason Aaron and Mahmoud Asrar was absolutely awesome. It was one of the best titles of the last year and a half, 2 years. I came to it late. I had to take up the fine recommendations of Roddy and Keith, and honestly, brilliant series. There's a hardcover trade coming soon. Keep an eye out for it, guys. But I was surprised to see this coming to Netflix, because I would have thought that Disney/Marvel owned the rights for Conan, but maybe it's only the comic book rights. But I really hope that they somehow get Jason Aaron into this. Great writer of this sort of era. Obviously he wrote Conan, wrote Thor. He's written The Goddamned, which is a Viking tale as well. So we'll see what happens with it. I sincerely doubt it'll have any links to anything pre-existing, anything with, Arnold Schwarzenegger, that kind of thing. But you never know. There was also a sort of remake, new reimagining of it that had a pre-Game of Thrones, pre-Aquaman Jason Momoa as Conan. But I really have high hopes for that, just based on how much I love the recent Marvel series. So on to a bit of DC news, so some nice comic news. So at the DC fandom, the first part, I'll be honest, I watched bits and pieces of the second part, but most of the big news was in the first part. They had a panel which focused on Milestone Comics. So Milestone is now being absorbed into DC, and DC are going to reprint a lot of their back catalogue, but they're also going to be doing new stuff as well. So the first ones that are coming out are going to be Hardware, The Man and the Machine by Dwayne McDuffie and Dennis Cohen. You then will have Icon, A Hero's Welcome, The Mothership Connection as well. And there's going to be more titles joining that, as well as they're going to do a new Static series as well, Static Shock, which could be interesting. So this is a really cool thing DC are doing, in fairness, bringing these characters in. Milestone essentially focused on characters of colour, and they're going to be bringing back all of that so that people have access to that back catalogue. So I believe it is going to be digital first, but then they are going to do a print run as well, which could be cool. Staying with DC, I saw this week that David S. Goyer, he has written a story for a new Batman-inspired podcast, and it's called Batman Unburied. So it's going to be like a narrative podcast. It'll be similar to Wolverine The Long Night, say, which I believe was Benjamin Percy. And this is the first production coming from a deal that was announced back in June. It was actually Spotify and Warner Brothers, and they were going to do a lot of original content for them. So David S. Goyer, I mean, he can be hit and miss for me. He did co-write Batman Begins with Christopher Nolan, but he also did direct Blade 3, which is a piece of crap. So again, just my opinion. But Blade 1 and 2 are awesome. Blade 3, not so much. So yeah, it's going to release in 2021. It's going to explore the darker aspects of Bruce Wayne's psychology. And in a statement, Goyer has said, "I've been a fan of narrative podcasts for some time and was looking for the right story. Returning to Batman seems like the perfect opportunity. We'll also be using the unique advantages of audio to dig into more nightmarish members of the Dark Knights Rogues Gallery. So that could be really interesting. I will be keeping an eye out for that. Saw a little bit of news this week on The Walking Dead and the upcoming feature film. So, if you're really behind on The Walking Dead, I am a little behind, but I'm not all the way behind. But with The Walking Dead, Rick Grimes exited the show, but the idea was that he was going to then appear in a couple of theatrical movies. So there was a bit of news on it this week. Scott Gimple, who's a producer and he's writing some of them, I believe, he says it's slowly but surely coming together. It's still a plan for Rick Grimes to return across multiple theatrical releases. And Gimple reaffirmed plans for these releases, saying, were it not for the pandemic, it would be clear when the features could get rolling. I would say this, movies take a long time. It's been a cool process. Andy has been deeply involved in it. Robert Kirkman is deeply involved in it. It's slowly but surely coming together, but movies do take longer than TV. I probably should have told everybody that. I think most people know that anyway, but, we'll see. But something to keep an eye for. I mean, as much as I've fallen off from The Walking Dead, I think part of that was because of the exit of Rick Grimes. Rick has always been the character you follow through The Walking Dead, and it's no coincidence that when he exited the comic was done an issue later. So, spoilers. I didn't say how it was going. A cool thing I saw this week, actually, and I've already received some pre-orders for them. We've ordered quite a lot of them in, but Spawn creator Todd McFarlane, he's paid tribute to Chadwick Boseman with an upcoming Spawn cover, and it's going to be the cover B for Spawn number 311. And it's titled, in memory of Chadwick Boseman, and it has Spawn with the Wakanda pose and looking rather solemn. So it's a really nice tribute to Chadwick Boseman. It's nice to see that it's not just been Marvel doing these tributes, and that there have actually been other people who recognize the impact certainly the Black Panther the movie had. So yeah, the pre-orders for that are pretty big. It's not an expensive issue or anything, guys. If it's something that interests you, just get in touch. I think it's like a $270 issue, so it's really not that expensive. So if that's something you fancy, just get in touch. We'll get you sorted on that. And one last thing that caught my eye is The Boys co-creator Derek Robertson. Still haven't watched any of The Boys season 2. I'm going to get on that this weekend, I hope. So Derek Robertson, who's the artist and co-creator of The Boys, he's teaming up with writers Eric Peterson and Joe Aubrey for a violent, irreverent space fiction story dubbed Space Bastards. But unlike with The Boys, there are no corporate-sponsored superheroes here, only bloodthirsty postal workers carving a path of destruction across the universe. It was originally a Kickstarter, but it got fully funded through there, and it's now going to be published by Humanoids. This will be something definitely to keep an eye out for. I mean, I love Derek Robertson's art. It's big, it's chunky, it's comedic, it's heroic. So it'll definitely be something to keep an eye out for. And it's going to be, I believe, a 7-part story. And the first issue is going to hit on January 13th, 2021. So that might actually be in the next previews book. But don't be surprised if that ends up on the previews board as well. So yeah, so that is going to do it for me this week. Simply because I have a lot of reading to get on board with. I really got to get into Sandman more. But yeah, as I say, anything caught your eye here, or any upcoming titles that haven't been released, just get in touch with us and we'll get you sorted for those. I should throw a little shout out to Paddy. Cheers for the little pop final there. A little Batman Jokerized pop final. I love how people keep adding stuff, dropping stuff off to me that I can throw in the background and keep set dressing, all that kind of stuff. It is appreciated. So yeah, and again, just obviously I was chatting there about the preview stuff. Obviously, again, if there's anything CGC related, even if you have any questions and you're not sure about the process, pop in the store anytime. We can guide you through it. So yeah, as I say, keep an eye out for the podcast dropping in the next couple of days. It is a doozy. And in the meantime, I hope everyone has a good weekend. I hope everyone is safe out there. Take it easy.